Pastor John Hagee, an 84-year-old American televangelist and well-known pastor, has been a major Christian ministry player for over 60 years. As the founder and senior pastor of San Antonio, Texas's Cornerstone Church, he's amassed a congregation of more than 22,000 people. In addition to his pastoral responsibilities, Hagee founded the most prominent pro-Israel group in the U.S., Christians United for Israel, or CUFI. He's renowned for his candid opinions on various social and political problems, and he's been significant and contentious throughout his career. Hagee has finally acknowledged what many have long assumed after years of conjecture. How does his impact change in light of this revelation? Stay tuned as we reveal the truth about John Hagee's long-held beliefs and what this means for his future. Early life and education. Born in Baytown, Texas on April 12, 1940, John Charles Hagee came from a very religious family with a long ministry history. His name was John Hagee, and he was the fifth in a line of 6 successive generations of pastors dating back to the colonial era. Being raised in a household where religion was valued highly, young John became passionate about preaching at a young age and frequently imitated sermons. After graduating with a Bachelor of Science from Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas, he went to the University of North Texas to get a Master of Science in Educational Administration. His education path focused on leadership development rather than only earning degrees. Even while attending college, he was actively interested in religious activities, which influenced his views and delivery of sermons. The foundation for his subsequent influential ministry was established during these early years. Founding of Trinity Church. John Hagee significantly contributed to his ministry in 1966 when he established Trinity Church in San Antonio, Texas. Hagee offered a passionate, upbeat style of preaching that immediately won over a devoted following at a time when the city's religious landscape was changing. His fervent delivery, strong preaching, and firm adherence to biblical teachings were hallmarks of his services. Trinity Church expanded quickly under his direction, attracting members from various backgrounds. However, in 1975, Hagee encountered one of his most significant personal and professional setbacks. His faith and fortitude were tested when he resigned from Trinity Church due to his well-publicized divorce from his first wife, Martha Downing. Hagee considered this a time of refinement rather than a retreat from ministry, which would later strengthen his determination to establish an even more critical religious organization. Establishment of Cornerstone Church. Hagee took a risk after leaving Trinity Church in 1975 when he established the Church at Castle Hills, which would subsequently become Cornerstone Church. The church rapidly expanded from its initial few hundred members thanks to Hagee's energetic preaching, emphasis on community outreach, and dedication to updating worship services. The church had to build a vast new complex since it had outgrown its former location by the 1980s. With more than 22,000 members, Cornerstone Church is currently among the biggest megachurches in America. The church is well known for its global reach, television ministry, and cutting-edge production facilities. Hagee's growth has been greatly aided by its capacity to engage with people in person and through media. The church significantly impacts Christian communities outside of San Antonio, demonstrating its success in more ways than just numbers. Personal life and marriages. There have been both successes and setbacks in John Hagee's personal life. He wed Martha Downing in 1960, and they had 2 kids. However, because divorce was frowned upon in Christian society, their marriage ended in divorce in 1975, which was challenging for both of them personally and professionally. In 1976, Hagee wed Diana Castro, and the two have been together for decades. Diana has been actively involved in ministry, frequently joining her husband at church functions and media appearances. Matt Hagee, one of their 3 children, has assumed a leadership position at Cornerstone Church. Hagee's family has remained a pillar of his ministry despite early difficulties. His second marriage has been a long-lasting partnership in religion and ministry, and he showed perseverance by rebuilding his personal life while continuing to grow his church. Educational background. A significant tenet of Hagee's life has always been education. After graduating from Trinity University with a Bachelor of Science, he went to the University of North Texas to obtain a master's in educational administration. He continued his scholarly endeavors by earning honorary doctorates from Netanya Scholarly College in Israel, Oral Roberts University, and Canada Christian College. These accolades are a testament to his impact as a Christian theologian, educator, and preacher. Hagee has consistently promoted lifelong learning and biblical study, underscoring the value of education in the church. His scholarly training has also influenced how he organizes his sermons, frequently using theological and historical allusions to give his lessons more substance. According to Hagee, education should focus on individual success and preparing the next generation to uphold biblical values. Author and speaker. In addition to being a preacher, John Hagee is a historian, storyteller, and orator whose impact goes well beyond the confines of the church. He's written over 40 novels over the years, many of which have achieved success as bestsellers. Theology, prophecy, politics, and Christian living are just a few of the subjects he writes on. His best-known works, including Jerusalem Countdown and Four Blood Moons, have generated a lot of controversy, especially about how they understand biblical prophecy. In addition to religious audiences, Hagee's publications are extensively read in scholarly and political communities. He's given keynote speeches and sermons worldwide as a speaker, enthralling audiences with his passionate delivery and extensive biblical understanding. Hagee has solidified his position as one of his generation's most significant Christian voices, whether through his writings or lectures. Founder of Christians United for Israel, CUFI. Hagee's steadfast support for Israel has been perhaps one of the most defining features of his career. To mobilize evangelical support for the Jewish state, he established Christians United for Israel in 2006. CUFI has grown to be the most prominent pro-Israel lobbying organization in the U.S. with millions of members. Hagee's strong position results from his conviction that Christian support for Israel is required by biblical prophecy. To promote policies that favor Israel, his group frequently hosts summits in Washington, D.C., bringing together activists, lawmakers, and religious leaders. CUFI's impact hasn't been without dispute either. While some applaud Hagee for fostering closer ties between Christians and Jews, others contend that his backing of Israel is politically driven. Whatever one's stance, CUFI has had a significant influence on U.S.-Israel relations, and Hagee is still one of the most outspoken and influential proponents of the Jewish state in the evangelical community. Political involvement. John Hagee has had an impact on American politics in addition to the pulpit. He's actively supported conservative candidates, associating with people who uphold Christian principles and Israel. His support of Senator John McCain for president in 2008 was his most well-known political endorsement. However, the endorsement became contentious when detractors re-examined Hagee's prior remarks against Catholicism and other subjects. McCain eventually disassociated himself from the endorsement after mounting criticism. Despite this setback, Hagee has continued to support conservative social issues and pro-Israel legislation. He regularly interacts with legislators, promoting laws that support his Christian Zionist views. By planning summits and advocating for pro-Israel legislation, his group, Christians United for Israel, has considerable clout in Washington. Although he's received acclaim and criticism for his political activity, it demonstrates his dedication to influencing policy through his religious beliefs. Views on Catholicism. Hagee's criticism of the Catholic Church has made him a divisive figure for a long time. In an interpretation that infuriated many Catholics, he charged the Church with historical anti-Semitism and even connected it to the Great Whore in the Book of Revelation. Backlash followed these remarks, mainly as he got more active in politics. As his power increased in 2008, Catholic leaders openly criticized his remarks. As the criticism grew, Hagee tried to patch things up for apologizing in a letter for any offense his comments may have caused. He made it clear that his goal was to discuss theological disputes rather than disparage the faith of specific Catholics. This action was regarded as one of Hagee's rare moments of reconciliation, showing that despite his strong religious beliefs, he was open to interfaith discussion. His attempted reconciliation suggested a more tactful handling of religious differences. even though tensions still exist today. Blood Moon Prophecies. When Hagee released 4 Blood Moons, Something is About to Change in 2013, his interest in biblical prophecy became more prominent. In the book, he linked significant occasions in Jewish and biblical history to a tetrad or sequence of lunar eclipses. He made the biblical argument that these heavenly events might portend significant shifts for Israel and the rest of the world. Although he refrained from explicitly foretelling the end of the world, the book stimulated a lot of conjecture. It became a bestseller and captured the interest of Christians curious about the relationship between prophecy and astronomy. The success of 4 Blood Moons prompted a 2015 documentary-style movie that combined biblical interpretation with scientific investigation. The book and movie strengthened Hagee's standing as an engaging, albeit occasionally contentious figure in Christian eschatology, despite detractors dismissing his assertions as sensationalism. Whatever one's stance, the phenomena spurred new debates concerning biblical prophecy in the contemporary era. Health challenges. When Hagee tested positive for the COVID-19 virus in October 2020, during the peak of the pandemic, his health took a severe turn. He was regarded as high risk at the age of 80, and his 15-day hospital stay deeply alarmed his supporters. His son, Matt Hagee, took the pulpit in his place during this time, and his family gave updates. Hagee said that he had recovered from the illness in God's favor and attributed his recovery to divine intervention. However, his response to the epidemic was criticized because he persisted in doubting the need for several public health initiatives even after catching the virus. He was reminded of his mortality by his illness, but it didn't stop him. He resumed preaching shortly after his recovery, reaffirming his conviction that prayer and faith were essential for conquering life's obstacles. The profound resonance of his experience strengthened his congregation's dedication. Advocacy for Israel. John Hagee has been one of the most ardent supporters of Israel among American preachers. His belief that biblical text requires contentious Christian support for the Jewish state is the basis for his activism. Hagee has organized millions of Christians to participate in political engagement by creating a vast pro-Israel movement through his group, Christians United for Israel. CUFI frequently raises money for Israeli organizations, organizes conferences, and lobbies U.S. officials. To show support and strengthen the U.S.-Israeli partnership, Hagee has personally met with Israeli leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. His support for Israel has not been without controversy, as some contend that his theological rationale is based on apocalyptic prophecies, rather than just political or humanitarian considerations. Nevertheless, there is no denying Hagee's influence. To keep the issue at the forefront of American conservative politics, he's been instrumental in bolstering evangelical support for Israel. U.S.-Israeli ties are still shaped by his influence. Controversial remarks on natural disasters. Hagee has sparked contentious discussion by often equating natural tragedies with divine judgment. His 2006 claim that Hurricane Katrina was God's retribution for New Orleans' alleged transgressions was one of his most contentious remarks. He suggested plans for a citywide gay pride celebration might have caused the catastrophe. Critics denounced his comments as callous to the thousands of victims who experienced significant loss, sparking a great deal of outrage. Hagee's never been afraid to state that God intervened in world events. Still, this claim caused him to disagree with many, including some Christians, who felt that tragedies of this nature shouldn't be politicized or utilized to advance theological narratives. He's not taken back the statement, but he has since been more circumspect when blaming natural tragedies on divine wrath. Even yet, the incident continues to rank among the most notorious instances of his divisive rhetoric, influencing the opinions of both his followers and critics. Media presence and global outreach. Through contemporary media, John Hagee has expanded his influence well beyond the boundaries of Cornerstone Church. His television show, John Hagee Ministries, reaches millions worldwide with sermons, biblical teachings, and insights from prophecies. Additionally, he's embraced digital platforms, ensuring his words are available on streaming services, podcasts, and social media. Projects like Four Blood Moons, which examined heavenly occurrences and biblical prophecy, demonstrate his media power in the motion picture business. In addition to his broadcasts, Hagee is a well-known voice on political and theological matters due to his many media appearances. His capacity to reconcile faith and contemporary affairs maintains audiences' interest and strengthens his position as a cultural analyst and spiritual guide. Hagee's message continues to dominate Christian media, influencing viewpoints and igniting theological debates worldwide, whether delivered via television, books, or internet sermons. Pastor John Hagee admits what we all suspected. Pastor John Hagee recently admitted at age 84 that his ministry was never just about preaching, as many had conjectured. He acknowledged in an open speech that his work has always involved connections between politics, social activism, and spirituality. Although his political influence has long been criticized, Hagee maintained that leading followers involves more than just following the Bible. It also entails influencing how they interact with the outside world. His ministry has contributed to cultural decisions, U.S.-Israel relations, and evangelical voter mobilization. Hagee's admission demonstrates how his platform has permeated media dominance, policy debates, and action. This disclosure has triggered discussions between supporters and critics. While some believe religious leaders should stay out of politics, others applaud his courage. Whatever one's viewpoint, this recognition confirms what many had suspected. Hagee's legacy is not only pastoral, but also intricately woven with American religious and political life. Charitable initiatives. John Hagee has shown a dedication to faith-driven generosity by actively supporting humanitarian projects outside the pulpit. He's given suffering towns financial support, medical supplies, and disaster relief aid through his ministry. Christians United for Israel's projects, which have raised millions for underserved Israeli communities, are among his most noteworthy endeavors. Furthermore, Hagee's church has financed food banks, shelters, and educational initiatives for underprivileged families. As part of his worldwide charity, he supports overseas missions that bring resources, clean water, and medical treatment to underdeveloped areas. Although his humanitarian endeavors have garnered recognition, they mirror his political and theological convictions, frequently prioritizing causes that share his evangelical outlook. Hagee's dedication to humanitarian action, whether aiding victims of natural disasters or assisting persecuted Christians across the globe, demonstrates his conviction that faith must be actively lived out via compassion and service. Educational contributions. John Hagee established Cornerstone Christian schools in San Antonio with a curriculum that combines academics and biblical teachings because he understood the value of faith-based education. These educational institutions seek to prepare students for societal leadership positions while fostering Christian principles. The curriculum includes demanding academic instruction, spiritual growth, and extracurricular pursuits promoting resilience and character. According to Hagee, graduates should be morally and intellectually prepared to defend their faith in a world that's becoming more and more secular. Additionally, these schools strongly emphasizes patriotism, consistent with Hagee's more prominent beliefs on Christian nationalism and American ideals. Cornerstone Christian Schools has grown, drawing in families looking for a religiously based substitute for public schooling. Supporters commend the institution for instilling Christian values in children's minds, while detractors claim that faith-based education can produce ideological echo chambers. For Hagee, education is about molding the next generation to continue his Christian work, not merely imparting knowledge. Music and worship. Hagee's ministry has always revolved around music, which gives worship a more personal and group-oriented feel. He oversaw the development of Cornerstone Church's comprehensive music department, which included a modern worship band, chorus, and orchestra. Hagee has contributed to worship and gospel music records, including CDs that combine contemporary arrangements with classical hymns. Cornerstone's worship sessions are renowned for their lively vigor, including modern Christian music and traditional gospel influences. His church has released several albums that have made it to Christian music charts, and Hagee feels that music is a potent medium for bringing believers closer to God. His musical endeavors have impacted evangelical worship practices nationwide outside the church. Hagee ensures that music continues to be a vital component of the religious experience, whether through large symphony concerts or small-scale acoustic worship. His dedication to prayer aligns with a more significant evangelical movement that uses music to uplift, unite people, and reaffirm theological teachings. Publications and authorship. John Hagee has made a name for himself as a prolific writer with more than 24 books ranging from personal faith to biblical prophecy. Like Earth's Last Empire and Jerusalem Countdown, his books explore end-times theology and relate contemporary affairs to biblical prophecies. In many of his eschatological novels, he warns readers about the imminent fulfillment of biblical prophecies. He has, however, also written on more general Christian life subjects, providing advice on relationships, prayer, and spiritual development. Because his novels appeal to readers who share his strong views on faith and culture, they frequently reach the top of Christian markets' bestseller lists. His followers view his writings as crucial resources for comprehending world events from a biblical perspective, despite detractors who claim that his prophetic interpretations occasionally border on conjecture. As a writer, Hagee's in part goes beyond his followers. His interpretations and teachings may be found by believers worldwide. Public speaking and conferences. John Hagee is a charismatic speaker whose impact is felt through his stirring speeches. He regularly serves as the keynote speaker at significant Christian conferences covering cultural issues and biblical prophecy. He speaks passionately and directly, frequently emphasizing his arguments with dramatic storytelling. Hagee has advocated for solid U.S.-Israel relations at political and religious summits, such as Christians United for Israel conferences. His ability to enthrall audiences has made him a popular speaker at evangelical events, where he draws sizable crowds with his mix of political analysis and faith. However, his lectures have often generated controversy, especially regarding social problems, Islam, and Catholicism. Whether praised or disliked, Hagee's speeches show that he may have impacted political and theological debates. His attendance at significant gatherings cements his position as a thought leader in evangelical circles and as a pastor, influencing discussions outside the church. Theological perspectives. Dispensationalism, the idea that God's connection with humans develops during particular historical eras, is the foundation of John Hagee's theology. This framework heavily influences his beliefs on the end times, especially his opinions on biblical prophecy and his support for Israel. Hagee contends that contemporary political developments are consistent with biblical prophecies, supporting his view that the world is approaching the end of the world. His readings of Revelation strongly emphasize the second coming of Christ, the role of Israel, and the escalation of international strife. Critics warn that his interpretations can be too literal or politically tinged, even if many evangelicals accept his eschatological beliefs. Hagee's impact on evangelical eschatology is indisputable, even in the face of divergent theological opinions. His reputation as a significant figure in modern Christian thought is further cemented by the fact that millions still follow his ideas when they turn to biblical prophecy for guidance on current affairs. Relationship with evangelical leaders. John Hagee has developed close relationships with prominent evangelical leaders, working alongside pastors like James Dobson, Pat Robertson, and Jerry Falwell. His affiliation with religious and political figures who share his dedication to Israel has grown due to his work with Christians United for Israel. But there's been controversy around his partnerships. Christian communities were tense because of his previous comments about Catholicism, and the public reacted negatively to his 2008 backing of John McCain. Hagee is still a significant player in evangelical circles despite these obstacles. He regularly appears with well-known conservative figures, promoting laws supporting his political and religious convictions. His network has grown significantly due to his contacts, guaranteeing that his message is heard by people worldwide. Hagee's connections with evangelical leaders have increased his impact and solidified his reputation as one of the most well-known individuals in American Christianity, whether via cooperative advocacy or everyday projects. Cornerstone Church's growth. One of the most prominent evangelical churches in the United States, Cornerstone Church in San Antonio, was founded in 1966 with just 25 members and has since expanded to become a mega-church with over 22,000 active members. With a sanctuary of 5,000 seats, a cutting-edge production studio for televised sermons, and a flourishing web presence reaching millions worldwide, it's grown dramatically under Hagee's direction. Despite its modest size, Cornerstone is well known for its wide range of initiatives, which include humanitarian work, marriage counseling, and youth ministries. With the release of worship records, the church's music ministry has also grown in popularity. Because of Hagee's dynamic sermons and astute media use, Cornerstone has become a haven for people looking for spiritual direction. The church's yearly celebrations, including the Night to Honor Israel, provide more evidence of its worldwide impact. Cornerstone Church continues to embody Hagee's vision of a prominent and influential ministry through local community involvement or global broadcasting. Financial success and criticism. John Hagee has amassed an estimated net worth of $5 million through speaking engagements, television broadcasts, and book sales. His writings, many of which center on biblical prophecy and Christian living, have sold millions of copies, and he's well known across several media networks. However, there is a dispute about his financial achievement. According to critics, his multi-million-dollar house, fancy cars, and private jets go against the biblical teachings of humility and modesty. Some have questioned whether pastors should accumulate income from religious institutions. However, Hagee defends his income, claiming that it comes from his business endeavors rather than contributions from his church. Supporters see his wealth as a manifestation of divine favor, supporting the prosperity gospel that says loyalty breeds prosperity. Despite dissenting views, Hagee continues to sway in religious and business circles, demonstrating that his influence goes far beyond the pulpit. The role of his family. The ministry of John Hagee is very much a family affair. Diana Hagee, his wife, is a prominent person in the church. She oversees women's ministries and co-authors books with her husband. Pastor Matt Hagee, his son, has assumed leadership, giving sermons and speaking on behalf of Cornerstone Church in the media nationwide. Many believe Matt is the logical heir to his father's heritage, reflecting his conservative beliefs and ferocious preaching style. His daughter, Christina Hagee, participates in the church's outreach initiatives, and his grandchildren have been spotted attending church functions. Other family members also make contributions. Some members of the Hagee family participate in worship productions at the church, demonstrating their influence on music. For longtime members, this strong familial presence has reinforced a feeling of security and tradition, helping to preserve continuity within Cornerstone. John Hagee's impact will endure for centuries because of his family's sustained participation as he ages. Influence on Christian Zionism. One of the most outspoken supporters of Christian Zionism, a movement that links evangelical Christianity with a strong pro-Israel stance, is John Hagee. He's inspired millions of evangelicals to support Israeli interests through his group, Christians United for Israel. He's met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other high-profile figures due to his pro-Israel stance, and he's also spoken at policy summits in Washington, D.C. His book, Jerusalem Countdown, argues that Israel is central to biblical prophecy, influencing evangelical views on Middle Eastern politics. Some criticize his position as unduly political, claiming that his interpretations of prophecies impact foreign policy choices, while others applaud his steadfast support. Hagee's position as a key figure in U.S.-Israeli relations has been cemented by his fundraising effort for Israeli military and charitable groups. His contribution to Christian Zionism is indisputable, regardless of whether he's viewed as a political strategist or a devout follower. His views on end times. John Hagee has long been prominent in evangelical eschatology, or the study of the end of times. He regularly teaches that biblical predictions for the second coming of Christ are consistent with current occurrences, including catastrophic disasters and Middle Eastern wars. His writings, such as Earth's Last Empire and Four Blood Moons, examine apocalyptic signals and captivate skeptics and admirers. He's proposed that global pandemics, political unrest, and unstable economies all fall into a divine timeframe culminating in Jesus' second coming. Others accuse of him inciting panic to increase ministry donations and book sales, while others accept his teachings as prophetic. Regardless, his end times lectures continue to draw sizable crowds, stoking the enduring interest in biblical prophecy. His dramatic storytelling and scriptural interpretations guarantee that conversations about the end times stay at the forefront of evangelical discourse, regardless of whether his predictions come to pass. Legacy and lasting impact. John Hagee's legacy is already well established when his career enters its senior years. He's established one of America's most significant evangelical ministries by fusing faith with journalism, politics, and international advocacy. He's influenced millions of people's beliefs through his best-selling books, television shows, and Cornerstone Church. His influence in conservative politics has had a long-lasting impact on policy deliberations, and his leadership in Christian Zionism has created ties between Israel and evangelicals. It's impossible to overlook Hagee's influence on contemporary Christianity, even considering the disputes surrounding his wealth and controversial opinions. Matt Hagee, his son, is well positioned to continue his father's teachings and ensure the ministry endures for many generations. John Hagee's influence will last for years, regardless of whether he's viewed as a divisive character or a spiritual leader who inspires admiration. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon